Can you believe it? Those jade boxes regarded by everyone as great opportunities, and even the portraits, were in fact nothing but deadly lures. The so-called Cangkun legacy treasure was never a heaven-sent chance, but rather an exquisitely crafted scheme laid out by an ancient devil to lure cultivators into rescuing itself. Today, we will completely expose the truth behind this entire arrangement. First, for those unfamiliar with the background, a brief introduction is in order. In ancient times, ancient devils from the devil realm of a higher plane coveted the resources of the mortal realm. After spending an unimaginably long time, they finally managed to open spatial rifts, leading into the mortal realm. Although these rifts were unstable, a number of high-level ancient devils still managed to break through. However, due to the rejection of planar laws, ancient devils could not remain long in the mortal realm. Even so, their brief descent alone caused catastrophic casualties among ancient cultivators. In that great battle, a representative ancient devil Bloodflame was defeated by ancient cultivators and sealed within Devilfall Valley. Yet, its devil soul secretly split off a strand of soul fragment, ordering it to search for a way to rescue the main body. This fragment happened to encounter Immortal Master Cangkun after he entered Devilfall Valley and immediately carried out body seizing. Subsequently, it laid out the scam known as the Cangkun legacy treasure. In other words, this so-called legacy treasure was merely bait used by the ancient devil to screen for suitable tools capable of breaking seals. That is to say, anyone capable of breaking the cave dwelling's restrictions and obtaining the treasures had to be at least at the nascent soul stage. However, whether it was the contents of the jade boxes or Cangkun's portrait, their fundamental purpose was to lure cultivators into Devilfall Valley, sending them down a one-way road toward rescuing the ancient devil Bloodflame. The first trap. The first trap was the 6 jade boxes on the second floor of the treasure pavilion. Hanley obtained 4 of them, while Marquis Nanlong obtained the remaining 2. As for what Marquis Nanlong obtained specifically, the original text does not state it explicitly. However, based on the plot, it can be inferred that the boxes contained guidance related to the Blood Curse Gate within Devilfall Valley. The reasoning is as follows. Marquis Nanlong knew the exact route to the Blood Curse Gate, as well as the obstacles along the way, such as the Northern Extreme Origin Crystal, the purple patterned Scorpion Fire Toad Beast, and other dangers. He also knew how to avoid the layers of restrictions set by the ancient devil. This clearly shows that the purpose of these 2 jade boxes was to safely guide cultivators to the Blood Curse Gate and lure them into breaking the seal of Bloodflame's main soul. In Marquis Nanlong's information, the Blood Curse Gate had long been promoted by Bloodflame as a place hiding secret treasures. Hanley's jade boxes. The 4 jade boxes obtained by Hanley contained the following items: the cultivation method, moon gazing technique, the ancient treasure Purple Ching pouch, azure poison, pearl, one of the 10 absolute poisons, and the yin ring of the yin-yang icefire swords. Notably, the azure poison pearl and the yin ring were the key items for safely reaching the Blood Curse Gate. The yin ring could withstand the damage of the Northern Extreme Origin Crystal. Marquis Nanlong and Lu Wei-ying were able to safely pass through the Northern Extreme Origin Crystal region only because of the yin ring in Hanley's possession. The azure poison pearl, one of the 10 absolute poisons, was refined from the saliva of the demon bird azure-beaked dove. It possessed not only terrifying toxicity, but also an extremely pungent odor. On the way to the fire toad beast, Hanley and the others were blocked by purple-patterned scorpions. Hanley exploited the azure poison pearl's deadly attraction to poisonous insects, having the silver humanoid puppet carry the poison, successfully luring the scorpions away from their nest. Only then were the 3 able to safely pass through this dangerous region. Afterward, the 3 joined forces to kill the fire toad beast and split the treasures left behind by a nearby ancient cultivator's remains. At this point, Hanley, completely unaware of the Blood Curse Gate, chose to leave alone. Meanwhile, Marquis Nanlong and Lu Wei-ying secretly headed toward the gate. The 2 worked together to break the seal of the Blood Curse Gate, while dividing the bait disguised as spirit medicine inside. Marquis Nanlong was unfortunately possessed by Bloodflame's main soul. Lu Wei-ying was immediately slain by the ancient devil-possessed Marquis Nanlong. As for the moon-gazing technique, the purple chung pouch, and the other treasures within the cave dwelling, they were in the eyes of the ancient devil nothing more than props used to disguise the scam and mislead cultivators. The second trap was the portrait of Immortal Master Cangkun. This item was in fact the vessel harboring the ancient devil's soul fragment. Later, the scroll was brought back to the ghost spirit sect by Wang Tiangu. Sect master Wang Tiansheng discovered the soul fragment within. The fragment lied, claiming to be the remaining divine soul of immortal master Cangkun. It further claimed to possess clues to entering the spirit garden within Devilfall Valley, a place said to contain vast quantities of rare spirit herbs capable of greatly increasing cultivation and strengthening the sect. This claim was undeniably tempting to Wang Tiangu and Wang Tiansheng, both of whom yearned for power and sect expansion. After being deceived, the two led half of the sect's elite into Devilfall Valley. Under the fragment's guidance, they opened a passage and reached the sealing site of the fragment's devil body. Only when the ancient devil fragment took the opportunity to break free did everyone finally realize the truth. But by then, there was no retreat. Blinded by rage and despair, Wang Tiangu and the others unleashed a relentless barrage of attacks upon the soul fragment. Devil Flame's spiritual techniques and powerful treasures collided in a storm of destruction as they desperately sought to annihilate the source of their deception. Yet none of them realized that every furious strike, every reckless outburst of power was not suppressing the ancient devil, but instead tearing apart the outer restrictions that sealed its true body. Cracks silently spread across the ancient sealing formations. Runes that had endured countless ages began to flicker and fade. By the time the cultivators sensed something was wrong, the irreversible had already begun. It was already too late. With the weakening of the seal, Bloodflame's soul fragment let out a soundless, triumphant roar. In a single decisive moment, it completely seized control of the devil body, merging soul and flesh into a unified existence once more. Without hesitation, the ancient devil immediately invoked the forbidden disintegration transformation great art. Devilish light erupted as the body shattered and reformed again and again. Flesh, bone, and demonic essence twisted violently, reconstructing a new devil body, far stronger and more complete than before. As the transformation concluded, a terrifying pressure flooded the region, a level of power approaching the deity transformation stage. The air itself trembled, space warped and howled under the ancient devil's presence. The seal that had imprisoned it for ages finally collapsed entirely. In the next instant, the ancient devil fully broke free. The sudden release of its suppressed power triggered a catastrophic spatial rift explosion, tearing Devilfall Valley apart from within. Mountains crumbled, voids shattered, and raging spatial currents devoured everything in their path. Wang Tiangu, Wang Tiansheng, and all elite members of the Ghost Spirit sect were swallowed by the collapsing space, their bodies and souls erased without a trace. Not a single survivor remained. Conclusion. In the end, the truth was brutally clear. The portrait scroll had always been a tool used by the ancient devil's soul fragment to manipulate and deceive cultivators, guiding them step by step toward rescuing its sealed main body. Meanwhile, the jade boxes served as carefully designed bait, enticing powerful cultivators to follow a path that would ultimately lead them to unseal the ancient devil's main soul. One acted from the shadows, the other from the light. One deceived the mind, the other tempted ambition. Together, they formed a perfectly interlocking scheme, a meticulous, inescapable, and utterly deadly deception. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden schemes of the cultivation world, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next story.